number 3. It should be an interesting one, but CLG, I don't know, I'm kind of curious whether or not they're going to ban out that Ezreal. I think they probably will. PewDiePie is definitely very strong at Ezreal. They'll force him into another AD, but I don't know, we'll have to see.
Or, you know, just leave...
They could leave Ezreal and Shen. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, that was what I was about to say, and then they ban out Ezreal.
Yeah, well.
And then there's Rengar, there's the Shen, up and ready for the pickings for Dignitas if they want to take them, and indeed, they do. So now it's just options for what CLG.Black wants to do to try and counter this out. I mean, this is the same first pick in game number 1. You know, last time they grabbed the Maokai and Sona, but at least it had some pretty good success, and they might as well secure that. They could also secure the Sona here still. Oh, I don't know. Again, it's banned. It's banned. Never mind. What can they grab? I'm trying to think here.
I mean, they could grab Orianna, and that would be a very safe pick, having the Orianna and the Lee Sin. You know, they might want a little bit more flexibility than that. They might grab, you know, they might have to deal with the Karthus. So they actually grab the Alistar not being banned. And that'll actually help them against that Karthus pick, because I kind of would expect to see Scarra pick that up. You know, they have the double AoE, or double global. It'd be a very strong pick, but he has to be concerned, because Alistar can be really aggressive out of the jungle. If Lee Sin goes top, it's probably going to be Lee Sin in the jungle. Alistar is the support, but we'll kind of have to see. He has to, you know, it depends. If he goes with someone who's not very safe mid, like Karthus, then they might decide to send Alistar in the jungle and send Lee Sin top. If it's a normal mid, then they might send they'll probably send Lee Sin in. Yeah,
but you're right though, and there is reason to fear. But that's the beauty of this though. They are two ambiguous picks. Lee Sin has options. Alistar has many places he can go, but there is the Orianna. It is open, so Scar is going to be grabbing that here. Again, hopefully he won't have he'll have fewer missed ults this time around, not on himself. But that is the Lulu pickup there. So support Lulu, it appears to be for Dignitas.
Yeah, they're looking for the unkillable bruiser up front. He's just going to dive in the back line, and all those shields, you can't really do much, and then it also allows them to tank the turrets a little bit. But you know, now as a result, they can't really go with that Kog'Maw because it's going to be such an aggressive team. It's going to be the Shen once again, but with the follow-up shields. So they need to go with, you know, a more standard mobile AD. You know, maybe they think they could protect the Kog'Maw, then they could maybe go for it. But we'll kind of have to see where they go.
Oh, Nidalee being considered here for CLG.Black. That would be an excellent person to go into top lane.
At the very least, an interesting person.
At the
to go
very
into
least,
the top
an interesting
lane.
person. You also got the Cassiopeia being considered there too. Could go in the mid to try and counter out that Orianna. But yeah, Ezreal now gone. You got to think of other options to be going in that mid. You can't do any crazy AP style like you did last time. But Corki and Cass going to be the two pickups there for CLG.Black. Now it's just a matter of. Is that really going to be Alistar support or not? Is it at least never really going to be going to top lane or not? It's still somewhat ambiguous where everyone's going.
And I think they're going to be comfortable with the Graves pick here, but they have to kind of think of what they're going to do. They could go with the Kog'Maw, actually, because they have a pretty safe team right now. There's not a lot of initiation into the backline. They have to worry about the Alistar. But Dignitas, they could go with that old style with the Kog'Maw, and then all the shields will kind of protect that backline, and that would give them the late game advantage that they need, since the game's probably going to stall off for a while. It's probably going to be a slow, passive game. But Shyvana definitely makes sense for that pick. We saw the Shyvana-Shen combo in the past. It's very strong, particularly now that they have all these other shields. Shyvana can just be incredibly aggressive. Dive on the Cassiopeia in particular. Corki should be pretty safe, but it could force Corki out of the fight and take Cass out of it.
Yeah, but this is also options that we had from game 2. Also, you have more than one champ who's capable of going on into that backline with the Orianna orb. Varus, interesting.
It's kind of like the Kog'Maw pick. I mean, I thought they needed the damage, so they didn't want a short-range champion. Graves would be vulnerable to Cassiopeia, vulnerable to Alistar, vulnerable to Lee Sin, all these champions. So they wanted someone with a decent amount of range, but instead of going with the Kog for the damage output, they decided to go with Varus, who gives them a little bit more CC, gives them a little bit more backline poke. And Varus is actually very strong in lane, but it's an interesting situation now for CLG.Black, because Dignitas, they have a decent swap team. You know, Varus and Lulu can push very aggressively, can take the tower pretty aggressively, and that's going to be dangerous for them. So Wings of Death, he might be forced to go into a 1v2.
Yep. You got to talk about that swap, because Lulu does work very well in the swapping situation. You get the slows, you get plenty of damage, you can try and force someone out of lane and just take that tower out pretty damn quick. And I'm pretty sure that Nidalee is definitely going to be the secured last pick here. But Nidalee top lane, Lee Sin in the jungle, Alistar support, and if Alistar being in the support role, Varus, he does also do kind of well in that setup too, because he does have that long range poke. If need be, he can stay out of the grasp, out of that terrifying headbutt pulverize.
Yeah, no, that's really going to be dangerous if Alistar gets in range. But like you said, it should be pretty safe for him. You know?
Yeah.
And Varus actually having such a strong poke champion, like you said, for him to poke down Alistar, that's the best way to counter Alistar. Is to just slowly wear him down. So we'll kind of see how that factors in. I am interested to see if CLG.Black can, try and be aggressive in any of these situations. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the Nidalee pick. That's probably going to be the most interesting one, for if they can get off. I don't know. It's going to be weird, though, because Nidalee doesn't really have enough damage to take Shen out of lane if it's an AD Nidalee. If it's AP Nidalee, that's going to give them a lot of poke later on in the game. They could decide to go for that AP, but probably an AD Nidalee. That's a little bit more common. That's what we usually see. That's what I've seen Wings play in the past and most people play. Yep. So I don't know. I'm definitely interested to see how that's going to work.
And you're right. AD is definitely more common. That was pretty much the only Nidalee we saw during the course of World Champs.
You did homework for Nidalee, didn't you?
We did do homework for AP Nidalee. Did actually come out.
For AP also?
AD.
Oh, okay.
AD. But a lot of people in the comments are clamoring for AP.
AP's the fun one.
AP is the fun one, but I think it is actually still worth mentioning here because remember that CLG.Black, a lot of their builds, especially in the mid lane, is stacking those GP10s. It's getting that income for the mid game and for the late game, and that's where AP Nidalee shines, is after you've built up so much damage. It's a possibility. It's worth mentioning.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's kind of like, what are they going to do with AD Nidalee anyway? Because Shen is just going to be too tanky, I would think, for AD Nidalee to take down Shen later in the game once he gets some health items. And so AD Nidalee is a split pusher. AD Nidalee tries to take turrets and whatnot, but that's going to be difficult against Shen, one of the best split pushers in the game. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I'm sure he knows exactly what he's doing with this pick, but I don't know. I'm curious to see what he's going to try and do with it.
Always interesting. And now these are not the bans. We did have to go back through Champ Select. If you want a refresher, see it, guys. Come on, get your stuff together here. Come on.
They keep on juking them out. They keep on going back to their runes and masteries to see if they're updated or not.
So there we go. CLG.Black, the original bans: Evelynn, Diana, and Rengar. Dignitas banned out Jace, Sona, and Ezreal. Man, it's been a while since Cassiopeia in mid against the Orianna. How does that matchup actually look?
It's a pretty even matchup. Both of them can farm and push pretty aggressively. Cassiopeia wins a little bit in the damage output, but Orianna's very safe. It's actually kind of difficult for Cassiopeia to get in range of Orianna, and both of them can get kills with a jungler.
Oh, what a cutie pie's just a freaking troll. Look at his bands.
Oh, the Saigon Jokers are so good. I was like, that's not a dirty word that I've heard of. But, we'll see where they go with it. Cassiopeia versus Orianna, it's really going to turn into a farm lane. Yeah. Both of them have the damage to pick up kills, so that we might see some aggression, but I think both of them can also play pretty passively. So it's going to be interesting to see. One thing that they can keep in mind, though, is CLG.Black has a huge advantage for taking Dragon.
Yes.
And Dignitas has a pretty good Dragon team as well. They're going to kill it pretty fast, but Cassiopeia is definitely very strong in that regard. So they could try and go for those objective kills. And I think that's what they're looking for with that Nidalee pick. And, that's turrets, trying to keep Shen away from the rest of the team. And then when Shen does leave, Nidalee has the advantage. That is one thing that AD Nidalee does do very well against Shen. Shen leaves lane, AD Nidalee takes 1, maybe 2 towers.
Yep, you pop up that heal, you throw those spears really fast, get up and close and personal with the Cougar form, and before you know it, that is the lane that has been completely cleared of minions. So, and that is one of the best things you can do against the Shen in the top lane. It's not that you do anything, it's just that the rest of your team creates situations where you force them to ult out.
I would love to see this matchup, though. Like, if they kept this, I'm assuming they're going to swap. They're not swapping. There it goes. The last second, they almost could have, lagged or sneezed and not gotten that swap. But if they had done that, that would have been really cool because it would have been Cassiopeia top. And Cassiopeia, you actually used to see Cassiopeia top against some bruisers because she's such a strong laner. And so Cassiopeia would actually beat Shen in some situations. Though Cassiopeia would have to keep her range. And then if it's a Nidalee mid, that means it would be an AP Nidalee. Because that's where you see her in the mid lane. It's probably AD. It is AD. So it's looking for that push. Nidalee's just going to sit back, farm. Not going to do anything that special. I'll check the Masteries
look at Masteries again. Well, you still have the cooldown reduction, which is not too uncommon. But you got some Magic Pen on her also. Could this actually be a hybrid?
It's going to be AD. I mean, the Magic Pen, it's a single point that gives you a little bit more damage in some of her abilities, her Cougar form, on some of it. Some of it's AD, some of it's magic. So it's really just, it's a single point that gives you some nice benefits. But I don't know, we'll kind of see how that's going to work. And having the teleport, Wings can really aggressively push. And it's funny, we talked about it game number 1, Wings as the sub. You know, he can just split push, and it's not even like he's part of the team. It's like it's a 4v4, and that's what we've seen both games so far. For the most part, he joined up as Olaf in that second game, but you know, he's just going to sit up there and constantly push that top lane down.
Yep, and Wings here also in game number 3 will finally be doing something different that Summoners. He will actually be running Flash this time, which you've seen nearly an instance every single game where if he had Flash instead of Ghost, he would have been able to get away. And now game 3, it's kicking in. It's finally.
I want to see that MacNoon Nidalee. MacNoon and I mean Stanley as well. Both of them they like leaving the top lane a lot. Wings of Death, he's mostly been sitting in that top lane. He's kind of just been sitting up there farming in both of the games we've seen so far. But one of the play styles from both Stanley and MacNoon was to just roam a lot. They would, you know, be pushing up top, and then all of a sudden they're down bottom, and they use it to pick up kills. And you're like, where the hell did you come from? You came out of nowhere. So I would like to see that from Wings. Use that Nidalee mobility. The
mobility is immensely strong, and the mobility is actually still present here on most of the rest of the team. I mean, you got the Valkyrie, you got the Shield, you got, well, Lee Sin just jumps around wherever the hell he likes to. And you also got Alistar. I mean, he's there to play the interference. He's going to be doing his job pretty damn well. I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty strong bot lane. As well as Alistar's kind of fallen off as a support, you know, just because he's a hard initiation support, and I think people tend to like Leona for that. You know, he doesn't really have great escapes. He's kind of just slow. Neither does Leona, but he is fairly tanky. I mean, his ultimate's huge for team fights. They have a nice mix of AoE damage as well as single target and mobility. But for the most part, CLG.Black, they're not going to be looking for early fights. They're going to be looking for early, you know, I guess they're early fights, skirmishes. They're going to be looking for skirmishes around the map where they can push. They don't want big team fights. They don't, you know, they just kind of want those small engages where they can take advantage of their pushing power.
Now, what if the big team fights were to happen, though?
Well, if the big team fights were to happen, you know, it really comes down to it would be a back and forth kind of fight. Like neither team has a significant advantage. I think that Dignitas would have a slight advantage in that because of how strong Shyvana and Shen would be in those fights. You know, and having all those shields, it would help counter out the fact that they're all diving right into Cassiopeia. They're kind of, rather than kiting out Cassiopeia's AoE, they're just going to dive right through it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, whatever, I'll just shy it off. So it's just, you know, forcing your way through the poison to see if you can make it through. If they break to the other side of the Cassiopeia poison, then they're golden. They're going to be able to win that exchange. If they don't, then, you know, that's a different story. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting. They have a very tanky team, and they have a lot of damage to back it up. Both teams have a lot of damage, actually.
But then again, granted, you pass through the poison, and then you may be on the unfortunate end of the Cassiopeia ult. So if everyone's charging straight on in, it could be disastrous. It could be.
That's the goal, is to break through it.
It is the goal. This is like, you know, I am rock. I shall break this statue. I shall go on through. I shall smash your face. But we will see if that does indeed happen. Game number 3, as I've said before, the winner of this game. It is now 1-1. Winner of this game goes on to grand finals of this last NA qualifier for IPL5 to face off against Mono.Ferus. You got CLG.Black, they're going up there. Now we saw a mutual blue invade game number 1. Wings of Death getting those traps first, wants a little bit of vision, and Varus a little bit too overconfident, does decide to back off, and Crumbs sucking down some poison as he's there in the mid. And you got all members of CLG.Black here going down the side into the South River. They don't care if they're spotted. Scar's a little bit curious, though. This could actually be bad. Gatling gun over the wall. Scar's actually brought down to about 100 health. Just on curiosity alone.
They actually almost could have gotten that kill if multiples of them had flashed for a single auto attack and one ignite. Yeah. So 2 auto attacks and an ignite would have taken Scarra down, but he was able to back out of there. Orianna, does give them the vision that early level, but just kind of getting caught out. So that just barely, surviving. But we will see him back off. His flash is down. That could leave him vulnerable to Lee Sin or, to Link if he wants to be a little bit more aggressive in that lane. It's going to be interesting to see. It's a very skill-oriented matchup with the Orianna versus Cassiopeia.
And after that push, after that damage on the Scar, they also got the ward. They got the ward, they got the vision they needed. There's an orb from Scar just to make sure that no one's camping out that brush. But once the jungler makes the transition down out of the red pit, they're gonna know. And seeing Dominate going for those wraiths, Zuna and Bloodwater, they know they want a little bit of damage. They will not be able to steal that blue wraith though. But there is still a little bit of harass, and they are putting the fear into the Shyvana. Meanwhile, you got Psycho Sid starting off on that red. He may be going for a quick. He could be going for a quick level 2 somewhere too with that red buff.
Yeah, he's holding on to the smite. That's really going to help him out. But are they going for a swap? This is like so yeah, they see that Varus and Lulu are up top, and that was one of the concerns coming in. We talked about it in Champ Select, is the pushing power of Varus and Lulu, how they could go for that lane swap, they could try for an early tower, and so as a result, it's a late swap. Patoy and Cutie Pie, they're slightly ahead as a result of it. Right. Zuna's slightly behind, but they didn't like Nidalee's chances at counter pushing because Nidalee doesn't have any AoE. She can't clear the minions quickly enough to counter that push.
But fortunately enough, though, Zuna and Bloodwater they could have actually lost more on this. They were already by the wraiths when they saw Lulu and Varus actually enter the top lane. It's like, oh, they're already there. Well, we're already halfway there. We might as well just make the rest of the trip. Just walk past mid lane, give that high five to Cassiopeia, and then make their way on up. So I'm wondering though if there will actually be a switch back. Usually the first team that does the switch, they're usually in a pretty advantageous position. And Patoy and Cutie Pie actually swap on down. They will have a man advantage if they get an opportunity to, if an opportunity presents itself to actually take that dragon.
Well, I think for the most part, both teams are going to be happy with just farming here. Because I think the key was Dignitas, they didn't want to allow CLG.Black to push down that top tower or push down the bot tower aggressively early on. And Dignitas, they put themselves in a situation where there's not really a threat of CLG.Black getting any early tower pushes. So they can just sit up here, turn it into a normal farming lane, and it prevents Zuna or Bloodwater from really doing anything. So, it kind of takes off that pressure. They'll probably be there for a while. At some point they'll transition back, but we'll kind of see how aggressively they push.
Yeah, you got Psycho Sid here. Lee Sin positioning himself up there in the top tri-brush, waiting for an opportunity. Cutie Pie and Patoy are a little bit too far pushed out. There is a ward in the river, so if he goes in through the river, he will be spotted. But Cutie Pie getting a little bit curious, will not be spotted out by the Lee Sin. He's waiting for his time. He's looking for an opportunity to go in and try for a gank on this. Meanwhile, Link in the mid, keeping Scar back. Scar is actually pretty low man. There you go. You got Alistar with the headbutt pulverized combo. Cutie Pie is getting very low, and he is slowed. The auto attacks come on in, and Zuna there with the first blood. Will he be able to get Patoy on this one too? Could it be a double? That is the double for the Corki here in top. That is a great start for CLG.Black.
Yeah, the hard initiation, even with the ward, it wasn't enough. They really needed a ward in that tri-brush, give themselves a little bit of distance, and that's really devastating because not only has the lane swap not worked, but it's going to give them some free damage. They're not actually going to take it. So Shyvana coming up will be able to counter that off some, so Dominate's actually going to get a nice little head start because of that. But I was kind of thinking they would maybe push that tower a little bit, but not a great start for Dignitas, not at all. So 1K gold advantage, and it's all in that top lane.
Yep, and when you see an AD in support hold off on that damage on that tower, they're basically saying, hey, we want you guys to stay here. We want to dominate you guys as long as we possibly can. Minions will do minimal damage to the tower, and over time it will be more than enough. But for the time being, they just want to keep them there, keep them occupied, and we may see the Lee Sin make another visit up top lane pretty soon.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a really dangerous situation for them. He might very well go for those quick kills. And that's kind of an interesting situation because Lulu and Varus, they both have that disadvantage that they're both not very mobile and very vulnerable to getting out of position. And so Lee Sin and Alistar take advantage of that.
Speaking of out of position, Link was a little bit too far pushed up. Dominate got a little bit of harass, but no forced flash, nothing of the like. So not as successful a gank as he could have hoped for. But you got the Alistar just waiting in the bush there in the top lane. Wings with sufficient harass down onto Crumbs, and it speaks here in the farm, in the creep kills. And I gotta imagine that Wings is definitely happy about that, considering his game number 1 against the Shen. It wasn't the happiest of times.
Yeah, and Cutie Pie, he got into the top rush, or Psycho Sid got into the top rush just as their ward died. And so they barely caught a glimpse of him. And so that's why Cutie Pie is sitting back here. He's so scared right now because he knows he could die at any second. So he's sitting out, and he's actually being denied a lot of golden experience. They're the same level right now, but Zune is actually a full level ahead of Cutie Pie when you factor in all of these minions. And that's really just devastating. They're in a really dangerous spot. CLG.Black could easily snowball this one lane for the win.
Full level ahead, not to mention the fact that they're also looking to just freeze the wave here too. And Granted Tower's going to do a little bit of damage here. You also got Sunrise coming from Cutie Pie. Here comes Patoy. He's back in here. He's ready to party, and there's the wave push on up to tower. Zuna's on defense, but Cutie Pie, he wants damage on that tower. He's like, well, you're not going to damage ours. We're going to try and take yours down. But Zuna's still getting some very decent farm off of this wave, now pushing up.
And Psycho Sid's coming back for another pass. He really just wants to abuse this lane, and his shield on Alistar will allow him to get in pretty quickly.
But Patoy this time did ward the tri-brush, but you see Psycho Sid's positioning. Now he goes in. Now Patoy knows. Now
Cutie Pie's so out of position. He's going to get stuck against the wall.
Bloodwater with the headbutt and the pulverize. He got the shield from Lee Sin, looking for more damage, but here comes the Shen shield. Will be able to take out Cutie Pie before he comes on in. No, they will not. They should still be able to get the kill on the Varus. Just one more attack, and that should be enough. But Zuna's in a very bad spot. Is still ignited. Will he live? No, he will not. Crumbs, can he clean up? You still got Lulu on the back end, but here comes the teleport. Wings of Death. He wants a little bit of damage. He wants a kill. That's where the ninja went. Now I know where you are. Preventing the kill onto Psycho Sid, and the push can actually continue up here top lane now with Nidalee.
Yeah, they might actually be able to take this down if they want to, but they're actually comfortable with holding it up. They don't want to take the turrets down too early. They just want to sit in that lane. So 3-1, you know, nice turnaround from both teams. You know, keeping that only to 1 death is definitely a huge feat.
Pretty good.
And for Corki to go down, but it was Shen who got the kill. So Varus is still drastically behind Shen at this point.
Yep. Now, you mentioned this at Champ Select, and we've talked about how good Cassiopeia is at doing objectives like Dragon, but now you got Psycho Sid, he bought that Wriggle. So now CLG.Black's team is going to be even more effective at taking out that Dragon. If they ever get the opportunity to, Link on his own, going to be grabbing the blue buff. Sid going to be grabbing his red. He may just go straight back up to top lane right after this.
He is. He knows he's not going to do anything bot. I mean, AD Nidalee does nothing for ganks. You can't get kills with AD Nidalee in a gank, particularly against Shen. So, you know, he's fine. He's just going to sit up top. It's surprising that Shyvana hasn't been up here more to try and counter out those ganks.
Yeah.
But he is going to be coming up now to try and keep an eye on that. But they have the vision already. So they have vision on both sides. They know Dominate's up there, and they can just sit back and play passively. So I mean, CLG.Black is in control in this lane.
It's fine. Zuno's just play passive.
And the other lanes are just farm lanes.
And Psycho Sid, I mean, he's still relatively close by to the small golems, and 2 is part of the jungle. Dominate, this is a huge expenditure of time and money to be sticking here up in this top brush, and he's putting himself behind just to make sure that Cutie Pie and Patoy do not get rocked in another team fight, knowing that Lee Sin could be very well nearby.
Oh, the ward finally goes down. Dominate, he will have seen it there. So, you know, they're in a situation now where they're like, oh, so you've seen me for a while, but he's waiting. He's baiting it out now. So he wants to sit back, see how they respond, if they think he's recalled yet or not, and we'll be okay there. Crumbs and Wings of Death exchanging a little bit of damage, but nothing too significant in that lane. And Shen's ult, it is almost up again, so he has a slight TP advantage.
And there you go. Dominate, convinced that he's not going to be getting anything off of this lane, decides to back on out. There's a ward from Patoy, knows Alistar's in the brush. But Psycho Sid doing very well at keeping his distance. Is still yet to be spotted here by Dignitas. You have the Glitter Lance coming down onto the Alistar. He will be shoved back, and Zuno looking for those missiles from quite a bit of range. They're both level 6. They're both doing okay in front. And Varus is actually caught up in the creep kills. Oh, there's the ultimate coming on in from Orianna. Well, is the damage going to be enough down on the lake? There is the ultimate underneath tower, but no, Scar has plenty of damage with the auto tech and the ignite to take out the Cassiopeia. Now, with some help from Dominate, are they just going to try and take out this mid-tier one? They're going to try and put as much damage as they can on it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, how it's generally, the Orianna versus Cassiopeia is generally a passive lane, but Orianna has a slight advantage with ganks coming in because of the range advantage and then using the ultimate to pick up the kills. So she was able, Scar was able to there, and they get some damage on the tower, but Cassiopeia's Link is generally pretty safe, and they're playing kind of passively, but you know, we'll kind of see if that's going to pull Dignitas into this right now.
Yeah.
Dignitas, they're comfortable with sitting back for a little bit. They want to get their items. They're, you know, don't really want to force anything right now. They don't want to allow Wings to push aggressively, but Crumbs is going to counter that out some. And then by both junglers sitting up top, it takes the pressure off that top lane. So Corki was in a situation where he would have been able to snowball that lane very quickly if there was no jungle support. But because both junglers were kind of standoffish for a little bit, it's allowed PewDiePie and Patoy to kind of get their way back up.
And you know, in terms of that, you look at the gold is now only 500 gold actually separating between these two teams. So it's now actually back to a pretty damn even game. You see Cassiopeia actually wandering on down. This may be a quick two-man dragon trying to sneak it without anyone knowing. Poison going down to death, and there you go. CLG.Black trying to take this as quickly as they can. Nidalee, as soon as she goes in the fight, should be able to also. But you got Orianna actually stealing the wraiths in the meantime. Ping's going down. Nidalee, come on, help this. We got to take this thing out quick. And that should actually help out a little bit. You got Dominate with a ward, but he is a little bit too late to the party. Now needs to be in a full retreat. Wings of Death with a quick swipe at the claws. And the Dragon Lady's out of there.
Yeah, and that's another advantage of CLG.Black's team is they're objective-oriented. They want to push the towers, but you know, the Cassiopeia is just so quick at taking the dragons. They're able to get that. But now PewDiePie and Patoy, this is what they've been looking for the entire game, to force Corki out of the lane to get some damage. One more time, one more recall from Zuna, and that could be that tower. And they could use that for that gold advantage, or at least to come back into this game. So that's definitely going to be very strong for them. But I'm kind of surprised. We haven't seen very aggressive pushing from Zuna and Bloodwater because they're just comfortable with sitting back and farming for the most part. They know if they push the tower, that's the end of the lane. You know, once one tower is down, it just snowballs you out of the laning phase so quickly. So they want to sit in that laning phase. They want to be able to use their gold advantage to harass them.
Wings looking to exchange with Crumbs down here. He does have the heals available to him, and Crumbs is getting to that point where he's starting to get real tanky. He's got the tabby, he's also got the chain vest to mitigate pretty much nearly everything Nidalee has to offer. But there's Dominate, a little bit out of position. I was waiting for a kick. I think he was hesitating too. He's like, do I really want to kick Dominate backwards on this? It could be a bad spot, and he decided to make this decision. There will be no kick to the face, no dragon going backwards, and he's going to have to stick in here and camp out in the mid, knowing damn well that if one of them leaves, that mid-tier
yeah.
1 is going down.
Well, it was a great job from Dignitas because they know Cassiopeia came back from the dragon, so she was low on mana. And instead of letting her just sit there and recall or anything, Scar just immediately started aggressively pushing her into the tower with the blue buff and just recognized, okay, you got the dragon, you're low on mana, we're going to take the tower as a result, and then transitioning over to the blue. So it stalled long enough for the blue to respawn, getting that mid-turret, and that's actually a great swing in Dignitas' favor. It puts Cassiopeia behind, and they can, you know, use that to try and gain momentum in the other lanes.
That's a double blue buff. Look at the particle effects.
It is a double blue buff.
It's a double blue buff all the way across the Orianna. You got Cassiopeia.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. You got Cassiopeia going back. What did she pick up? You had the revolver, you had the tier, needs that mana. You recognize you were low on that before you try and fix that situation. But those creeps are actually going to be pushing a little bit further into the mid. So Link's going to have a slightly easier time to farm, even though the creeps actually up until this point have actually been bang on even. You got the Codex being built onto Orianna, going to be looking for the Athenes not too far away. You got the headbutt Pulverize down on a PewDiePie though, up against the wall. You got Lee Sin, Psycho Sin. Is there enough damage? Yes, there is. The Q in combination with the ultimate will be more than enough. Did catch a tail end on the ult, but not too far away. He will be able to get out of the situation. Nice quick kill there in the top lane. Are they convinced now? Is CLG.Black looking to take this turret now finally? Yes, they are. They got a 3-man advantage. They can take it easy. Dominate has something to say about it, though. Is Psycho Sid going to die on this one? You got Zuna is forced to Valkyrie out. The tower still stands in top lane.
Oh, Patoy's barely not able to get that slow on them, but they're able to get a really aggressive push. Oh, okay.
We're good.
Hopefully everything's okay.
We're good.
Okay. So yeah, they get the really aggressive push and are able to, you know, push up there. Dominate actually going for the turret himself, so he goes for that, and we'll be able to turn that around on them.
There you go. That is the top tier 1 down. Dominate getting a pretty good spot, and there's Wings actually going down, killing the Crumbs, but does die to the Scara wandering down from the mid lane. Dominate, after pushing up that wave, stealing a little bit of the jungle, but Link is back here in mid and farming, and now going up against the Varus. PewDiePie recognizing is like, okay, you know what, top tower is a little bit too weak. It's going to be going down probably in the next wave anyway. Transition over to mid, try and get your push on there. There's plenty of creeps in the node tower to really contend with, and you still get your poke down on the Cassiopeia.
So they do back off once again. Both teams going for those aggressive tower pushes, and so far CLG.Black's behind on it, and that's kind of what we've seen them going for in the past. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the first fights. But again, both these teams like just sitting back and waiting, having that fight pretty late in the game. So it's I don't know, it's going to hold off. It allows a lot of opportunities for I don't know, just farming up. Anything can happen really, but. I don't know, we'll kind of see where they're going to go with it. The Chalice on Nidalee definitely helps for that spam ability.
Yes. And the Chalice actually on Nidalee is something Stanley from TPA actually did. He actually was rushing that first, just so he actually has the mana to actually just spam out those heals and keep himself, keep that sustain up in that solo lane. Not to mention, hey, spears, they're pretty expensive. As long as you have the mana to keep on dishing those things out, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and now CLG.Black looking for the aggressive push. Scar should be able to cancel that out. The pushing from Orianna is just kind of, it's too hard for them to push into that. But Shen has switched up to the top lane. So Varus can, counter out the Nidalee push. We'll see if Wings of Death can actually take this, because Wings of Death is way ahead of PewDiePie from that solo experience. And he's just able to slowly wear him down, slowly push down that turret. So we'll see if Wings of Death can't take that in a wave or two.
But Crumbs, his ult is still down for a few more seconds. So, I mean, it will be back up. He will be able to leave and get to the fight if he needs to. Teleport from Wings, though, is also up. So if he is needed, if he needs to be called, he will be there. And now Zuna, AD versus top, top lane and bot lane for both these teams. However, Lulu is actually down to the bot lane. Telvarus up, up against the force of the Nidalee.
Oh, he's walking right into it.
Oh no, Orb gonna be right there in the bush. Link walking on eggshells just for a quick second. Realized he could have been chunked out huge there. That Scar ultimate was pretty much ready to go.
I was honestly more scared for Scar to walk into him, because Link has enough damage to take him down pretty quickly.
Link does have enough damage, but I mean, ult for ult though, I mean, that's... it could have been close. It could have been real close.
Yeah,
but
it definitely would have been close.
Yeah, but Dominate now starting up on this dragon.
Yeah, they're going to be able to drop that pretty quickly, but they do have to worry. Neither of the AD carries are there. Shen, his ult is up, but he's not in position really, so they'll want to sit back. And actually, CLG.Black, they're taking the opportunity to just do it themselves.
You got Cassiopeia with the poison looking to
Dignitas
zone
is
out.
Split.
They're looking to zone out Dignitas. They're also split up a little bit, but here comes the Shen come on in. Followed up by the Cassiopeia ult. Orianna right in the middle, getting two members of CLG.Black, keeping them occupied. But the kill Scar does actually go down. Zuna is very low, but doing very well on the back end, on the back line, looking for more missiles down into the thralls of Dignitas. You have three members of CLG.Black very low. They are in retreat. They're happy with what they got as long as they don't lose any more members. That was a 1 for 2 in that trade.
Yeah, Dignitas just, I mean, really bullying them around. I'm surprised that the fight went so well for Dignitas, though.
Wings, you got to get out of there. Do not make this an even game. There's Crumbs with the taunt, looking to close the gap, going for a quick vorpal blade, but that's the one thing Nidalee can do very well is get the hell out of there.
Yeah, they have to watch out, though. Varus has her on the top side. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to get enough damage. Wings should be able to escape from that, so he is going to back off. They won't be able to get any turrets or anything out of it, so a nice advantage for CLG.Black, but that was really dangerous. I mean, the one concern was that PewDiePie, he wasn't really involved at the beginning of that fight because they were split, and so they had a really great initiation. Dignitas was able to get Shyvana and everyone right in the middle of the fight, but without the PewDiePie follow-up, it wasn't really significant enough. But they do get a turret, so all three outer turrets down for Dignitas, and Wings will back off of that. But Crumbs is very tanky at this point. That's going to be a serious concern for CLG.Black.
First thing is like Wings is like I need a point for I need a Q. I need something to trigger me to initiate in onto that fight. Tower went down. Perfect. Let's go. Alistar was looking to sneak around. He does have the oracles up on him though, so he can clear out some of that vision. There's plenty of it actually in his own jungle, in his home. So he should probably be turning around to clear some of that out. Dominate being shoved back. In the face of Cassiopeia, that poison can do quite a bit, and also the burnout coming in as well. But there's a headbutt. Pulverize. Dominate will not be followed up on that, though. Link is more than happy to keep himself clearing the minion wave, and Lee Sin now in the mid joining this push.
Yeah, and at this point, you see Nidalee in that bot lane can't do anything to Crumbs, but it doesn't matter because the entire team is going for it. Crumbs, he goes to the taunt to try and get out of there, but with Link, with Bloodwater as well, they should be able to take him down. We'll see if they can grab him. The flash, he's able to get out. The slow, though, the pulverize, the Q in from Psycho Sid. They pick up the kill.
Yeah, wow, that was a very impressive flash, but impressive flash can only do so much against a four-man gank down in the bot lane. And Zuna is still here. He's still here in mid, looking to keep the wave pushed. Patoy, the only one here to defend for now. Here comes Dominate. He's got something to say about it. And we'll see the slow from Zuna. The slow onto Zuna could have been huge, but Bloodwater's here. He can run that interference. Still has that Oracles on him too.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's really what they're using for that map control. Dignitas, they had pretty aggressive towards Zuna.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of damage.
Wow.
But he's going to back off for a second. Skara's, starting to get that build. Having the Athene's Unholy Grail already, once he hits the Rabadons, that's when Dignitas is going to look to press. That's really the point in the game where they're going to look to, force fights and try and take advantages. But we'll have to see what they can do with it. It's going to be brutal. Skara does have to worry, though. Bloodwater coming in on the side.
Where's the head, but you also got a teleport here. Wings of Death coming on in through the side rush. Looking to keep Skara back. He does throw the ultimate down in defense, and here comes a Shen ult. Zuna very low, though. He is below half.
Skara almost could have turned around and killed Zuna.
But they blew two. CLG.Black successfully managed to make Dignitas blow two ultimates, though, just to get Skara out of that situation. He blew his own, and he also managed to get the Shen ultimate also out of the way, and that's going to be taking a while to actually come back up. So that's actually not too bad of an engage for Black.
No, it is a good engage, and they also get a push going in the top and the bot.
Oh, yeah.
But Dignitas, neither of these teams are really looking to fight where it's going to be that key for them to be down the ultimates. It's more so the pressure they get on the top and the bottom lane, that turret in particular. And Dignitas, they're looking to push the mid, so even without the ultimate from Skara, they're just looking to bully them around some. They have the range from Skara to try and wear them down.
And Wings of Death, this is what he was doing with Sid in game number 1. It just does not have a care in the world, just wants to push down his own lane. But recognizing that everyone has actually broken off from the mid, he realizes, oh man, they're coming for me. Better push this lane
Has
up.
he realized yet?
I don't know. Oh my god. They're eating her. Then they're going to eat me.
I think he's going to be okay, though. He's going to barely get out of there. The slow from
fine.
Lulu not actually even being used, so not able to get off there.
Hey, it's Nidalee. You leap away, you get out there. You still had the flash up and available too, so it really wasn't too much of an issue. Bloodwater, though, he's doing a very dangerous dance too. He still has that Oracles, don't want to be losing it. Just paving the way. Zuna now actually sneaking on in to the enemy jungle. You got the Oriana. Crumbs actually caught a little bit. Got a few spears to the face, completely just melting the shield that he already has innately. But now just clearing the way. Oracle's taking down that ward over on a tri-ramp. And Wings right back in his home, pushing that lane.
Yeah, the constant pushing pressure is really putting it's tough on Dignitas right now. They need to force a fight. They do catch out Bloodwater. He's using the ultimate, but they don't have the follow-up that they need to. Shen does sit down in the bottom lane, but Wings of Death is just constantly pushing. That's what you do is 80 Nidalee. You just sit there and push, and that's what Wings has done the entire series, the entire set. He just sits there and pushes. They almost grab Bloodwater though right over the wall. He's barely able to flash out of there, and they can't take anything out of it. They're not able to pick up the kills that they want to. They don't have hard enough initiation, and they're not able to push any objectives.
And there's still plenty of decent ward coverage here. Now, Patoy's got that Oracles. He's going to be clearing out that coverage, so things are now a little bit more dangerous for Wings. He's be a little bit more cautious, but he's sticking around. I think he's calling their bluff. They realize, like, hey, you know what? They cleared out that ward, and now they're back in mid. I'm just going to go right back to my regular job. The ultimate on Crumbs is almost back up. He's almost going to be able to rejoin these fights. Teleport, though, on Nidalee. Wings of Death cannot say the same. He's still got about 2 minutes left on that thing before it comes up. So there's a nice window. There's a nice window where Crumbs can actually rejoin the fights in mid, but Wings cannot. So it's a little bit of a timing attack situation here.
Yeah, and once the teleport is up for Crumbs, and if they can bait out the teleport for Wings, that's really going to allow Dignitas to have complete control over that Baron. But right now, even in the 4v5, CLG.Black should be able to win those Baron fights because they have so much AoE damage. Alistar and Cassiopeia will instantly win those fights, even without Nidalee having that teleport. But, once it comes up, she's going to want to hold on to it because it's starting to get to the point where Dignitas could try and force that.
Oh, Patoy still caught out in that bush. He takes out the ward, but manages to stay. Has no choice but to use the ult on himself. Bloodwater caught behind, though. He is slowed, taking a little bit of poke from Verus, but still lives, still holds on to that Oracle's nice instincts there on Wings to throw that spear, keep that Lulu behind.
Yeah, and they're able to almost pick up that kill, forces out another ultimate. Again, not that big of a deal because neither of these teams are really looking to fight right now. No, neither of them are really, I don't know, looking to make the plays. They're both comfortable holding off until that one fight that's going to decide the game, and they both feel like they have the winner. You know, CLG.Black, they feel like the Wings split push is just slowly going to win it for him. And Dignitas feels like at some point in time, they're just going to win one single fight and end the game. And Curse.NA is pretty strong. Once he finishes that Phantom Dancer, that's going to be big. And then the Wit's End as well, that's going to be huge for him.
There is a little bit of superior farm, though, on Corki, and Zuna just got that last Whisper. So now his damage output is actually going through the roof, and will actually be able to shred through what Crumbs has actually already made for himself in defense against Nidalee. And he's already had that Sunfire and the Ninja Tabby. So now, if he manages to see him up front in a fight, Zuna should definitely be able to help take him out also. Bloodwater, though, still ward hunting. Going to be finding one in that brush, and now it's about that time where you need to consider putting your wards down out in front of the Baron, because one fight, one good engage, forcing anyone back could mean that Baron.
Scarra just wearing down on Bloodwater a little bit. They do back off. And Crumbs, without the mana on Wings, he's starting to win that exchange. But Shyvana, the entire game, has just been power farming and using the mobility to keep the lanes pushed. And that's because CLG.Black is constantly pushing, so Shyvana need to force that. But we'll see if Dominate actually tries to go in for a fight. It's a 4v4, but they're not quite comfortable with it. So they back off once again. Crumbs did go by. That's actually a good signal that they might be going for this Baron shortly for Crumbs to buy and then force this.
The teleport is now back up on the Wings. He went back, got himself a Ginsu, so he's looking to stay in those fights of attack speed, a little bit of everything, attack speed and AD and AP, something every Nidalee loves. So he's going to be looking, you know, the more he stays in those fights, the more damage he's going to be doing, and he's got those heals. He's going to be on the back line along with Zuna, so that could actually come into play here. Crumbs does return down back to the bottom, and his ult is also up, and Nidalee, Wings of Death, going right back in. He wants to continue that push.
Man, look at that hybrid build there, you know.
I know.
Getting that attack speed. It's mostly for the attack speed.
Yeah.
It's going to allow Wings to kill that tower so quickly. But, you know, it doesn't hurt for those heals and those spears.
Oh, man.
You know, like you had brought it up earlier.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm sick of your crap. Nidalee, get over here. I'm going to taunt you. I'm going to try and hurt you best I can. And there you go. There is the Baron being started by CLG.Black. Dignitas, they need to hurry. They need to get here. Dominate out in front. He may actually get caught, but there is the Orianna Orb with the speed buff to help protect him just a little bit. And Black, they're actually deciding to back off. I don't think they had a nice little opportunity there. But there you go. Link is out in front, a little bit too far away from the rest of his team, trying to get the ult. This may have been a misstep, and there you go. Crumbs joining in with the rest of the team. There's the Lulu ult to keep everyone popped up. Psycho Sid shields on over to the Corki. Will retreat. Alistar flashing over the wall back into the Baron pit. And a little bit of a misstep from Link. He got too far away from the rest of the team, but while Baron, Dignitas already got to do it? No, because they realize they're being split pushed.
This is really dangerous. Wings, he's going to be able to get this turret pretty quickly. And so he's trying to drop it. They need to force another fight up top. Corki actually chasing down Dominate. They don't have the second initiation. They only have the one, and Wings takes the turret. So one kill isn't worth it, but there's the Orianna, the cleanse. Zuna just barely gets out of the flash from Curse.NA. He's trying to pick it up one single Q if he can get it, but just barely can't. The slow on the Bloodwater. No. They're chasing him down. They're going to get the Alistar. So the Oracles. The Oracles does drop, but Dignitas, they need to make a big play happen here because they can't allow that fight to go unpunished. They need to just turn around and make something big happen because otherwise it's going to go back to the same split push that Wings of Death has been doing the entire game.
But now with that bot tier 3 turret down, now we can see what CLG Prime did with that Rengar the other day. The teleport is there. The back door is a very real possibility. If at any point Shen is away from the base, if he's not here defending against this push, that will be an inhibitor. That may be a Nexus turret. It may be even more. So now the threat has become, well, the threat just got real.
It's going to be almost impossible for them to defend that inhibitor against Nidalee because they don't have enough pressure on the game right now. They're a little bit behind. Wings of Death, he's really farmed, so he's going to be able to take it fairly quickly. So the first time they can force Crumbs to leave lane, it's going to be a downed inhibitor. And Dignitas knows that. They know the second Crumbs leaves, that inhibitor is gone. So as a result, they need to make when Crumbs leaves lane worthwhile. It can't be like the last. I mean, they did get a turret off of it, so a turret and 2 kills. But that's tough to say whether or not that's worth 2 turrets, and including the base turret. That's a risky thing.
Yeah.
So Dignitas, they need to know the next time Crumbs leaves lane, that he's going to be able. They're going to be able to take something that's monumental and ending the game for them.
Yeah. At this point, it's probably going to also be an inhibitor. At the very least, though, if they can't take something that's going to win
Wings
the game,
has him zoned.
they can just make something like an equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
Inhibitor for an inhibitor.
Right.
But it's also a matter of time, because by the time they actually push through the tower and push up the creeps, and Wings is already going to be on the Nexus.
And it's interesting, Nidalee is starting to win those 1v1 exchanges, particularly with that red buff. Usually Shen just dominates 1v1 late game because he's just so tanky and he has a lot of damage, but Nidalee's just slowly wearing him down, and that doesn't bode well for them right now. They do get the ultimate onto Link, though. The ult from Varus doesn't hit. Cassiopeia turns it around. This could be it for CLG.Black if they capitalize on this. IPLPie drops as well. Shyvana in the backline. All the meanwhile, Nidalee is pushing, and they have the Shen-Shyvana combo here, but they have to deal with Nidalee in their base.
There's Shen ulting on to dominate. Zuna, can you actually get out of this? So he's taking quite a bit of damage. Is also still ignited. Crumbs going to be able to take him out. It is still only the Alistar and the Lee Sin here. Shyvana looking around away. Dominate, can you get out of this? But look at this, Wings of Death. As we mentioned, and yes, Sego Sin will actually be able to get the kill on to Shyvana, but look, Wings.
It's a 2v1. He's going to drop it so quickly. He can get out of there from Shen easily, but that's an even fight. Yes, Dignitas came out on ahead in that actual fight. I mean, or I guess not. It was an even 3-for-3 exchange. But CLG.Black easily won that because of the inhibitor, because of the Nexus turret, and that's the threat. Dignitas can't have those fights where they just, are coming out even. They need to pull out massively ahead, because otherwise Wings is going to win the game. And Dignitas knows every single time that they fight is a serious threat that Wings has already won it.
Yeah, and Wings may have just right on that, because now they've opened up the opportunity to grab this Baron. Otherwise, those super minions are just going to waltz on in, take care of that other Nexus turret. And there's a dragon being picked up from CLG.Black, now bringing it up to about a 6k gold lead.
Yeah.
Everyone's now healthy, back. Guardian Angel on Lee Sin up there in the front line. He's going to have that extra life.
And at this point in time, Shen can't leave bot lane.
Yeah.
If Shen leaves, Nidalee's going to have enough time to take the base. If Nidalee is in their base, at least. If Nidalee's in the base, it's going to take Nidalee about 20 seconds to take the Nexus turret and the Nexus. And that's not long enough to recall, because it's 10 seconds for a recall. They'll be CLG.Black's going to be able to stall those recalls, which means that Dignitas, they need to just be able to win these 4v4s. They can't take advantage of the fact that Shen is really farmed right now. They need to be able to win without him.
Yeah, the only thing that could possibly make the situation even better for CLG.Black is if they had a ward inside Dignitas' base. Wings that could just then teleport straight onto it and just end the game. Shen didn't even need to be out, he could actually still be in bot lane and still lose it. He could just be a little bit too far pushed up, and there'd be plenty of time for Wings to actually just get the kill. Bloodwater getting caught out, Orianna Orb doing a little bit too much damage to him. He rebought that Oracle, so he's got another one, but Link a little bit too far out. Wasn't a bad spot. Dominate, though.
Wings is coming up, though.
Oh, this could be a bad pinch. This could be a really bad pinch for Dignitas. Scar, Patoy, and Dominate. They're going to be realizing a little bit too late. The spear actually not going to hit anybody, but Dominate on the back end, leading the retreat. There's the Orianna Orb to keep everyone still in the one spot. And PewDiePie, can he get the damage? Can he get whatever he needs? Shen coming on in now to the back line. Dominate very low, but Sego Sid did pretty much PewDiePie's pincushion at this point, but does have the GA. He will be coming on back, but he is cornered. He's got nowhere to go. That is the shutdown. And Wings just looking for spears, looking for damage. This fight is still not quite over. Bloodwater may be low, but he can still get one good set of CC in to allow a full health Zuna and a full health Wings of Death still do damage.
That's huge for Dignitas. They really needed to win that fight. And CLG.Black, they were hoping to take advantage of the fact that Shen had to sit bottom. And they were hoping to catch them off guard, but it wasn't enough. You know, Wings, he didn't really take a lot of damage. They did a good job about not focusing him because Nidalee's pretty tanky. And they were able to just burst down Cassiopeia in particular and win that exchange. And that's actually going to help hold off maybe until the inhibitor gets back again. But they're still in a really dangerous spot. You know, Dignitas always has that impending doom kind of sense right now that where, you know, any lost fight is GG. If they lose a fight, it's over. Wings is going to be able to win it, and CLG.Black is going to be able to win it. And if they leave their base, it's probably over too. So it really is a close situation for them right now.
Wings with that Rambo style sneaking on around to the top lane, taking out the tier 2, but the leap is still pretty good. Dominate got pretty close with the burnout with that extra movement speed to try and match the speed of a Cougar, but in the end, you'll not be able to catch up. But still, Wings of Death now sticking up here top lane. He wants that top inhibitor now too. He's just going to keep that push going. And now it's even trickier of a spot for Crumbs because he has to decide, well, I can stay here in the bot lane, I can prevent the super minion push, or I can go top lane and try and prevent, you know, Nidalee from taking this inhibitor. Just the situation just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for Dignitas.
Yeah, and fortunately, at least for the top lane, the rest of his team can defend that because they'll be in position for Baron still while pushing. But CLG.Black, they're constantly threatening that Baron, forcing Dignitas to defend on multiple sides. And it hasn't really become a huge advantage for them gold-wise, but positionally it has. And they actually get the inhibitor before Dignitas gets in there. The Alistar, the Pulverize, if they can catch up to Dominate, that'll be it. But he actually goes down. They need to win this fight now, Dignitas. But the kickback from Psycho Sid. Get out of here, Dragon. You are done. We're not fighting.
Wings of Death. He's teleporting down bot lane, though, while everyone is off fighting. Deja Vu from Prime. And while this fight is going on, you're going to see that push. But meanwhile, you got Link with the ultimate down on Scar.
Oh, they're not going to get back in time.
Fight. Crumbs with the taunt. Cutie Pie has no choice but to flash out from Psycho Sid, but meanwhile, all this is going on in Zuna.
He's not going to get back in time. Crumbs is trying to recall.
Oh, Psycho Sid, he can definitely kill enough time here. Cannot get the kick, cannot get the damage. That Nexus turret gonna go down. Wings of Death, he can just ignore Shen at this point. Just go straight on in for the Nexus. Crumbs, he can do plenty of damage. Oh, but he's looking at 1v1. He wants to duel. He's a little bit angry, and now here comes Lulu to help on here inside their own base. Wings, just get some damage down onto that Nexus while you still can. You know you're gonna die here.
Oh, the flash with the pounce.
Oh, wow.
The jukey, tricky little juke there. He gets out.
I thought he was gonna die for sure.
That's brutal. The Nexus turret is down. The final Nexus turret. And it was a pretty even fight as well, but Dignitas, they're strong enough now where they can win those exchanges. But the difficulty is that the Dignitas, they can't fully commit to the fights. And even though they're a little bit stronger than CLG.Black in fights, that's, you know, one of the disadvantages of having like an 80 Nidalee compared with the Shen and that split push is, you know, the disadvantage is that Dignitas is a little bit stronger, but that they can't fully commit because they have to always keep an eye out on their base.
Wings still looking to push the lane here up against Crumbs. Patoy now not only is it displacing Crumbs, now Patoy actually has to stick around here to prevent this push also. So now just even more members of Dignitas displaced, and the push is actually going to be going up down to the mid lane while Wings of Death has everyone distracted. The tier 2 and mid should actually be going down next.
Well, and they actually can't leave it now. Like, they physically can't. And, you know, that Baron, CLG.Black was able to take that Baron. So, you know, unfortunately, they actually don't have a target that they can force because they actually probably could have forced the Baron here and gotten it for free. But they literally cannot leave this lane because Wings will be able to take it fast enough. But that's going to open up CLG.Black to forcing the top lane. They can just push in all the lanes and slowly try and bully Dignitas back into their base.
Yeah, and not often can he use it. Oh, Link going for the ult. Doesn't manage to flash out. Will he actually live? You got the shield from Lee Sin. Actually keeping Link alive, but does have the Guardian Angel. Will be just fine. Dominate, though, in the brush. Wants to get that kill onto Snake. Wants to chop down on the neck of the Snake. But there's the Lulu ult. Keep him alive. Just Lulu longer in Zuna with enough damage to get the kill. There's Skibai, and there you go.
That's Nidalee.
The GG. With the shutdown, does kill Shen in his own base. The Nexus is naked. That is open. Dignitas cannot get back in time, and that is going to be it. One more attack, and that is it. GG. CLG.Black can do just the same strat that Prime can, but with this one, they will be going to the qualifier finals. Dignitas and CLG Prime, two world caliber teams. They went to the World Championships. Neither have qualified for IPL5 in the online qualifiers. That is insane. That is crazy.
It's really impressive play there.